need like something pulls a little warm. So sometimes it's the undertone.
Yeah.
All right. We are getting started here. It's great to have you on, and I can't wait. Pagona, I think I'm saying that right?
Perfect.
No?
Yes.
Yeah?
No, it's
okay, good. Great. She is here. She's competed for the first time earlier this year, right? When that was just a few months ago.
April 13th was the first one, and then the second one was April 20th.
Okay, awesome. She competed back in April for the very first time and did a second show actually right after that. So we're super excited to have her here and kind of just share her experience, how she got started, what was her experience like, and, you know, any questions that we have for her, she'd be happy to answer. So for anyone who doesn't know you, tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I live in Lolo, Montana, but I'm originally from New Orleans. I have been working out most of my life, but have really wanted to hit the composition stage like in 1994. But with a lot of medical things and different things happening, I didn't get to do it until 2004 or 24. So it's always been a passion of mine, and to finally be able to do it with no interruptions was amazing.
Awesome.
But a little background, though, really quick. In 1994, I gave a kidney to my mom. And then over the next decades, married, having babies, getting thyroid cancer, and then celiac has really postponed a lot of me being able to hit the stage.
Yeah, a lot of that, you know, if you have other life stressors or things that are happening, it's really hard to compete. So it's totally understandable why it took a while before you could actually step on stage. What made it so that you actually were ready to go this year for your first time to hit the stage?
After I found out that I had thyroid cancer, I was training to hit the stage in 2023. And I was already working to that point. So once I got the clear to go back, I had already seemed to build up enough muscle that I literally gave it 120%. And because I wasn't going to allow it to slip through my fingers again. So I think the motivation of my coaches and my friends and, you know, Facebook, I was able to make a present. So I was keeping myself accountable to everybody around me. And I think that really helped me a lot to be able to reach stage.
I can understand that. And Holly and Stephanie, you can hop in and ask questions at any time, by the way. But
I do want to hop in real quick. I just want to validate everything that you just said, from the kidney to the thyroid disease. Like, we talk about how hard it is to prepare for a show, but I can imagine how hard that was. And girlfriend, you are a warrior. Absolutely a warrior, because you had every reason to stop, right?
Oh, definitely.
Valid reasons, but you knew what you wanted and went for that. So I commend you for advocating for yourself and for just continuing to push for what you knew you wanted. Like, that's amazing.
You know, sometimes life gives us pretty big curveballs, right? And we can only take it and try to move it in whatever direction we want it to go. But it's only us that can do it, because you're right. I could have easily said, forget this. I am tired. And I was. Don't get me wrong. I was really tired. But I just knew that, you know, I'm ending a decade of my life also. And for me, it had to be done now, because I think next year I may not have had the energy to want to keep moving forward, but I knew I couldn't let this decade go by without me doing the best I can. And like I said, 90% was me, but that last 10% was the people surrounding me, my coaches, my friends. You know, I felt that if I could motivate someone else to do a bucket list, something that they really, really wanted, it doesn't happen just because you want it to happen. You have to put in the time and effort to do it.
Yeah.
So if that's one thing that I can encourage people, it's not easy, but if you really, really want it, you'll find a way to make it happen.
Amen.
Most definitely.
I want to,
Most definitely. Go ahead.
I want, if it's okay, I, I would like to deep dive a little more about that support system you talked about.
Yeah.
Did that support system magically appear after your diagnosis? Did you advocate for yourself and start reaching out to people and telling them what you needed? Like, what were those steps that helped you surround yourself with people that were going to help pull you up?
Well, I will tell you that support system was before. I have a great group of gym friends. After I couldn't compete in 2023, Stephanie being one, my friend Steve, all my gym peaks, they've been there when I was trying to do it, all these years. And in 2023, I mean, I worked with Stephanie, we did posing. I was going to do a total different, I was going to do bikini, which, yeah, that won't happen. Um, but they've always been there. So after this all happened, I've reached out, and the amount of support that I got back was incredible because they all knew how really important this was for me, and they definitely stepped in and helped me along the way to get to that stage. I mean, especially Stephanie. I mean, she's been in my life, what, maybe 2.5 years now? And to be able to have not just the friendship but the coaching that she provided to me to help me get there and be there along the way with me made a huge difference. A huge difference.
Thank you. Thank you for diving into that. I think it's so important.
Yeah.
It's so important to have, people that you're close to, people that you can rely on, people that you feel comfortable confiding in. I think it's great that you had a great community, because we all agree training at the gym, you either have your niche of friends or it can be really freaking lonely, right? Like, it goes
Yeah.
one way or the other. There's very rarely like an in between on that. But, Steph, shout out to you. If you ever feel like you're not making a difference, clearly you are.
I will tell you the one thing that I did learn in the past like year is it was a little bit different in the gym because I was definitely more focused. So it wasn't just going to the gym and saying hi to my buddies and talking to them. I was definitely more focused. And one thing that pushed me along is the number of people inside and outside of the gym that have watched this journey really since 2001 um come up to me and go, "You have worked so hard. You can see a difference. You inspire me. You inspire others." And that right there kept pushing me. It really, really did, because sometimes you don't see it yourself until you're closer to the end. And because there was definitely days that I was like, "Oh my God, can I get through this again? Can I get through this? Can I eat this? Can I not eat that?" And having all those people be there saying, "You're doing great. Oh my God, you've come a long way." That was the second part that helped a lot, having that confirmation from people.
That's awesome. Yeah, it definitely makes a huge difference. Like, even if you just have one person that kind of supports you, it makes the world of difference, right? Because when you're doing it on your own and you don't have that support, I can tell you firsthand, it sucks. It sucks. It's very
Yeah.
lonely. You're second guessing everything, right? And you're just like, am I going to be able to do this? And you're really like, really hard on yourself at that point because you don't have outside eyes to kind of like be like, no, like you look great, you're on the right track, like helping you to see the bigger picture, right?
Yeah.
Um, So I definitely think that is very helpful, which is one of the reasons why it's great to have a coach. That's your second pair of eyes, your support system. If you have no one else, they're there to help you. For
And
sure.
you want to be completely honest with your coaches too. I will tell you, I was probably 90% honest with my coaches, because there were sometimes I was like, oh my God, I just binged. But I probably binged a few times before I even said anything, because I was more embarrassed that I did it. And then I got to the point, it's like, oh my God, I got to stop. And that's when, I would say something. But if I have to say something, don't be embarrassed when you do those things. Say something, because I could have maybe been a little bit better, if I didn't have those extra days that I didn't say anything about, because I was embarrassed. I'm like, I'm not putting that I had those chips 3 days in a row, just not one day. So those were definitely the tougher times that I had to dig inside to get past that.
Yeah, there's no shame in whatever has happened, as long as you can own up to it, and then we can move forward, right? A lot of
Right.
the times everyone's ashamed that they binged, or something else came up or whatever. And things happen. Like, we're human. Everything's not going to be 100% of the time. Like, that's just how it is, right? So if you can own up to it, you're even a better person for it. I've had clients who are just like, oh my gosh, I feel so bad. I overate on this. I'm like, honestly, you're human. Like, it was bound to happen. How can we move forward? You know what I mean? Like, what can we do going forward to minimize that happening in the future? And
Right.
kind of come up with a game plan that way. I think that's really important. And your coach isn't going to judge you for it. We're human too. So we know it happens.
I think we
It
judge
happens.
ourselves more than they
Yeah,
would. Yeah.
for sure. For
Yeah,
sure.
definitely.
I did want to ask you, would you say, the easier part of your prep? Like, what made it the easiest for you in terms of whether it was nutrition or training, like, or what was your favorite part of it
Oh,
going through?
training
Yeah.
100%. When I'm lifting weights and I'm looking at my body structure, I feel like I can see it. I can see exactly what's happening. When I'm flexing, I can see that. So for me, that was the most important. That was the best, the favorite part. Waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning is a different story, but it becomes habit. Second is food prepping. I mean, I truly, doing my cutting and my peak week, my food prepping has always been my second favorite, because I'm in control. And if I didn't food prep, I would be all over the place. So I think those two were probably pretty close even. The hardest part for me was logging in my workouts, because I have it there, I know what I'm doing, but to be able to put it down on the app, that was a lot harder. There were some days that I just went through my workout and didn't log it. It was like, hey, I worked out, but I didn't log it because it just took so much extra time. So that was probably my least favorite part of it.
Okay. And then how was, as like someone who's older and in the master's category, how did you feel about getting ready for that first competition at your age now?
Because I felt that I did what I was supposed to do, I felt really confident. But I think I felt confident because of the year prior. Doing posing practice and everything with Stephanie, I gained a lot of confidence from that. If I didn't have that gone into this, I think I would have been a lot more nervous. But because I had that little bit the year prior to getting sick, it definitely made me feel a lot more confident. And I felt good. I mean, I felt good in my skin. Now, granted, I had some loose skin, so I wasn't that confident in that part. But overall, for being, I mean, I'll be 59 in September. And so to be my age and getting up there for the first time, I felt that it was a pleasure to do that. So again, other people can see, no matter what your age is, you can get up there and do it because it's about you. It's not really about everybody else watching you. It's really about you fulfilling something that was really important to you.
Yeah, I agree. You don't want to compete for anyone else per se. It should be for you, your own goals, whatever your reasons are as to why. That's up to you, right?
Yep.
But if you're competing for someone else, it's going to make it 10 times harder.
Oh,
You're not going to want to do it.
100%. Yeah. Yeah. Because you're not going to have skin in the game if you're doing it for someone else.
Right. Yeah, I totally agree. And then what would you say what was your biggest like learning curve going into competing this year? What was your biggest lesson?
Following my biggest learning curve is following what I need to put in my mouth. It honestly, because I felt that I had a couple of items that were triggers for me, and one was tortilla chips for whatever reason. And I realized that for me, it was out of sight, out of mind. If they were, and rice cakes, believe it or not, because we're eating rice cakes. But towards the end, I had to get rid of them because even though the rice cakes were on my list, and actually the tortilla chips were at times too, I just felt myself saying, oh, that's a good thing. I can have that. So those three biggest was I had too easy for me
You're
to say,
cutting out a
oh,
little
yes.
bit.
Yeah, yeah. So definitely, that was the biggest learning curve, is getting rid of those trigger foods.
Yeah, it's totally understandable. And I've had conversations with clients, they want that sweet treat at the end of the day or whatever it may be. And they're trigger foods essentially. It kind of gets them into like a feeding frenzy, if you will, on certain foods. And they sit in front of the TV, watch a show, and realize I overate on that. I had more than what I should have, because they were distracted in other ways. So it's sometimes out of sight, out of mind is good, but the other side of that is, what is actually triggering that? Are you not, having a good balance with calories, macros, what are you lacking? Or what is the emotion behind it?
And I think for most people, and I can only speak for myself, is boredom, right? Because you get up in the morning, you go to the gym, you work, you do whatever you're doing after work, and then when you come home, you eat your dinner, and then you may have an hour and a half of downtime that you're not used to having. You're sitting on the couch, you're watching whatever your favorite show on TV, until you have to go to bed, and then you're like, what am I doing? Oh, okay, yeah. And then that's what you do. So I think for most people, that's probably what the cause is because they've allowed their body to just sit and relax and do nothing. And you're like, what am I doing? I need something. And that's
Right.
just me speaking. It could be different with other people, but I think that's what it is.
Yeah, for a lot of people it is, I'm sure. And we've all had conversations or maybe have found ourselves in that same position before too. It's very common. The other thing I wanted to ask you too is what piece of advice would you give for a first time competitor? What's your number one piece of advice?
Believe in yourself. Right? That would be my first bit of advice, is believe in yourself, because 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, October 5th, 2021, I looked at that picture of me, and because I got sick and didn't realize I was sick, and I just blew up. And I could never imagine, honestly, I could not imagine where I was, where I became in April 13, 2024. I could not visualizing me looking that way. So believe in yourself and believe in the process, because you will get there. It's hard to focus on something that you've never been. And so if you just believe in yourself and do what you need to do, you'll surprise yourself. And that gets me choked up, because even right now, I look back and I look at that picture and I was like, I did make it there. I couldn't visualize it at all. I have a picture from just a year ago, maybe a little bit over a year ago, when I was doing posing practice with Stephanie, that came across. And I even looked at that picture, and at that time, I thought I looked pretty good. But then when I look back at that picture, it's like, oh my God. So believe in yourself, trust the process.
Was there anything that you did along the way to help you to believe in yourself, like to help you visualize where you were headed?
My photos, my weekly photos. I realize that more so than the scale. I've always been scale driven, even now. But those photos that I've taken every single week had really allowed me to look back. So when I compared them side by side, you saw it. You personally don't see it when you're looking in the mirror, but when you start comparing those 6 weeks, those 8 weeks, those 16 weeks, and so forth and so on, that's where you see those big changes. So keep taking those photos, because that's what's going to make you see.
Yeah, definitely. It's not that we notice it in the moment. It's when we look back that we're like, okay, like I am doing what I need to be doing. I'm seeing progress where I need to, and I'm on the right track, you know? And it's like over time, those little things add up into
Thank you,
bigger
honey.
things. For
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
For
No.
sure.
Definitely.
Awesome. Holly, do you have anything to add, or Stephanie?
I'd like to go back to when you were talking about, meal prepping, things that you put in your mouth, and you hit the nail on the head about how because you prepped, you felt like you had more control, right?
100%. Yes.
So, what does that control look like in positive areas? Like, say, I'll give you an example. I'm sure there were weeks where you prepped your food and you talked about that level of control, and you get invited to a social event. What did that control allow you to navigate during that week?
So I will take out the social events, because I made a point during my cutting phase not to go to social events, because I know my triggers. I 100% know. But let's use it at work. So I work for the county, and they're bringing donuts, and they're bringing pizza, and they're bringing all this stuff. What helped me a lot in that wasn't so much what I couldn't have. I finding out I had celiac, I couldn't have gluten, right? So for me, the thing that helped me stay away from all that stuff is knowing that all that stuff that they were bringing in had gluten in it. And I knew that wasn't good for me. So for me, it was a positive. And I even tell everybody, keep gluten out, because it's going to make your life so much better. But I took that as me not being able to have these certain things. And that is what I think really gave me that extra 10% to get through to the stage. Because personally, if I could have had gluten, I may have tried that brownie or ate that piece of pizza or had that piece of bread. After competition, the second competition, we went to this Italian restaurant and they had bread. And I hadn't had real bread in a year. And I ate maybe two little pieces of bread, but I will tell you, my body noticed those two little pieces of bread. So I think for me, that is what helped me stay in control. So I think if people out there take some of those triggers and use them for their positive, it will help them. So whether you can't have sugar because it's going to bloat you, you can't have gluten because it's going to bloat you, or, whatever that is, use that as a reason why you can't have something. The reason why I ate the tortilla chips, because they were gluten-free. So, there's goods and bads, right, on both hands. And for me, even now, if it has gluten in it, I won't touch it. So I just have to be a little bit more weary of, even if it's gluten-free, should I have it or not? I hope that answered your question. I think I went a little over on it.
But there's no such thing as over, because I feel like when we hear from competitors like yourself, and everyone has a different experience, right? Prep looks different for everybody. Cutting looks different from everybody. The story after you compete looks different for everybody. And somebody who sees this, somebody who listens to this, that oversharing is going to help them.
Well, good. And I think my other thing is getting all that water in, because it really made a difference in the end. Just having all that liquid it really helped. It really, really helped in the long run.
Go ahead, Stephanie.
Sorry. So I have a question for you, Pagona. How is everything going after your whole reverse? How is it going? And what is the difference for you, mentally and physically, now that you're not in prep? Are you staying pretty on par with everything? Do you find things that you're struggling with?
So I'm actually staying on par. I've only gained, I'm 133. I hit the stage at 125.8, I think it was. I am finding myself eating more, but I'm still meal prepping every single day for work. I need that balance for me. So I know I have another end goal, and it's to compete again next year. So I'm really trying to stay on track without going crazy as far as eating things I can't have. I used to make this protein ice cream just with protein and water and freeze it. I changed it up where I'm adding Greek yogurt and almond milk, and so it's more creamier. So I'm having that every single night as soon as I come home from work, because it's like my treat. So I'm not going to Dairy Queen, or I'm not going to Cold Stone or something like that to get ice cream. But I love ice cream, and I needed to find a way how I was able to get that into my routine, like making the cheesecake stuff that I made today. I enjoy sweets, but I needed to find a way that I can incorporate it and still stay within. My reverse has slowly, I think I'm up to 1,700 calories now, maybe 18. And, I'm just following the directions and trying to stay with it. Have I had days that I've ate more than I should have? 100%. But I realized also that one day of going over in, my carbs or my fat, isn't going to hurt me. It's if I constantly do it over and over again. And then my gym is a lot harder now than it was because I'm pushing myself harder, because I saw where I got to within that year, and I know I need to be a lot better for this next coming year. So I'm actually pushing myself harder, I think, at this time than I did last year at this time. So just because, my dream, my bucket list isn't over yet.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think everything that you just said is, I mean, it's normal, post show and then taking the time to up your calories, and your weight gain isn't that bad. That's actually pretty good. So that's awesome. Um, did you ever get the post show blues?
No, I don't think I did. And maybe because maybe I did and I didn't know I did. I was on cloud nine for so long. I really, really was. And I think the reason I did it, doing the show, there was some points that I was a little sad, because I thought I should have placed better than I did or whatever it was. But then when I look back of what I was up against, right? I was up against, honestly, in the true novice, the novice, and the open, I was up against women, young women, 20 to 30 years younger than me. And that was that extra motivation, because if I was able to stand up there with women that didn't have kids, that were in their mid 20s, early 30s, and whether I took sixth place or second place, I was up with some amazing, amazing women that I felt that I was pretty equal with, being 58 years old. So I don't think I ever got the blues. And like I said, if I did, I don't know if I did or not. I was just happy that I was able to do it. I will tell you, my family told me, well, actually, one of my family members, I won't call them out, they were like, well, now that this is done, you can go back to being normal. And I was like, what's normal? Serious, what is normal? So,
Like,
so
sorry, this is normal life for me.
this is normal life for me, right? Yeah. So, each of us decide where we want to be in our life, and we stick with it. I do know that I can't put myself in certain situations, and I know that. So I personally surround myself with people that have the same interests that I do. I'm not a big drinker, so for me, that's not a big deal. But I love food, and so I just have to remember where I was and where I am now. And that is what gets me to move forward. And my circle is awesome. And you want to have a good circle that understands you and understands your why. And, I have a few people that after this, they've come to me for help. And I'm like, I did it, I'm doing what I've wanted to do. And it's not just for me, but it's to help other people see how they can get there, whether they want to compete or not, right? We all have different goals in our life, and competing is one of the biggest things that you commit so much to get there, because it's not easy. I'm going to say 100%, it is not easy, but if you remind yourself every day why you want this, it makes it a lot easier. It really does. And that's what I think anyway. So yeah.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. I enjoyed watching your journey, honestly, and it was fun. It was fun coaching you. Because each week it was like progress each week. Like there was no up and down really with you. And so it just like started here and it just kept going. And it was fun. Like the end of my week was always exciting because I had, you know, waiting for your photos to come through, and I'm like, I want to see. It's like at the end of the day, it's like I honestly don't know who is more anxious to like get you to the stage. Was it you or was it me? I have no idea. But like I know I was always just like I was like a little kid in the candy store just waiting for your results to come in, you know? And no, it was fun and it was exciting. So and yeah, I think you killed it. So
Well,
you
I
did
felt
awesome.
really good when I look back at the two pictures from the 13th and the 20th. I felt amazing on the 13th, right? I felt amazing. But then when I saw the pictures from a week later, I was like, holy crap, I look amazing, amazing. Um, so it was really nice. It was nice even putting on these 7 or 8 pounds to be able to put clothes on, to be able to see muscle, to be able to see all these things still stay there. Because I've heard horror stories. I've heard people that have gained 20, 30 pounds. I can't imagine it, but yeah, I've heard that and I don't want that. In the end, I want to be able to always look fit. And I also learned that, 130 pounds not fit and 130 pounds fit are two different people. And so, to be able to have someone support you along the way. Stephanie came out to Spokane with me. I mean, she was there at the first show because it was local, but we road tripped it. We shared a room. I had that support that I online clients that don't live in the same state, as I now have some clients that don't live in the state. But having that person close by, it really made a difference. The only thing I think I would have wanted to change, which couldn't be done, is actually having someone with me when I was doing my workouts, right? Actually, you know, getting the weights for me, pushing that extra 2 reps that I couldn't get in. That would probably been the only thing that I could have wished that I had. But even without it, I pushed myself. And but yeah, that would be the only thing I wish I would have had.
I think you did really well even without it.
I agree. I agree.
But I can understand that too, because sometimes you get someone that's in your corner and they're right there, and you're like, I gotta show up. I gotta show up. I can't show out now. So I
Right.
totally get it.
That's why I take Saturdays and Sundays off. Because Saturdays are my prep days and Sundays are my do nothing days. But I have that schedule, right? I wake up at 4 o'clock, well, 4:45 now because I don't have to get as much cardio in. But I wake up at 4:45. I'm at the gym by 5:30, and that's my Monday through Friday. And it keeps me structured. So if there's anybody wanting to figure out why you get up so early, for me personally, it gets my day started. I'm able to get everything done that I need to do because personally, if I don't do it first thing in the morning, it's not getting done at the end of the day. So you have to prioritize on how do you make sure you get everything done in the day. And I couldn't do it in the evening. I probably wouldn't do it. I probably wouldn't have made it to a stage if I had to work out in the evenings. So, because when you're done with your day, in the mornings, you're up, you're out, you're doing what you need to do. There's no turning back.
Yeah,
So, yeah,
it sets your tone for the day,
it definitely does.
Because I'm very much the same way. I'm up really early, but that's just because of scheduling and stuff too, like with the baby and all that. Like mornings are like my time, you know? If it
Yeah.
came to the evening, it's just not going to happen. I'll tell you right now, I'm done for the day.
Yeah, I'm with
So,
you. I'm
yeah.
100% done for the day.
But for other people, you know, some people work out in the evenings and that's fine. And that's great if that works for you, but find what works for you, right? Like whatever you
100%.
can be consistent with, that's what you need to do. So because you know, I know people who work out in the evenings just fine, but that's just not me. I've tried.
Yeah, I've tried to, and it doesn't work for me.
Plus I like a quiet gym, you know?
Oh, my gyms are not quiet in the morning. Let me tell you that much.
Mine's good up until about 6 a.m. After, like before that, there's only like 2 other people in there, and it's great. It's great. I'm
Oh,
like,
that's
hi, how
nice.
you doing? We're all doing our own thing, and then by 6 o'clock, I'm out.
Yeah, people are at the door waiting at 5 o'clock for the doors to
Ooh,
open.
no,
Yeah.
I can understand that. Well, it was great to have you. Is there anything else that you would like to share while we have you here?
You know, only thing that I would really want to share is follow your dreams, right? There's hills, there's mountains. You're going to climb and then you're going to fall. But get yourself back up and just keep moving. I mean, you'll get that straight away before you know it, but then that hill's going to come back up. And just prepare yourself. Prepare yourself for what it is that you really want and surround yourself by people that are willing to help you. But you know what? People can only help you if you're doing what you need to do to get to where you want to go. Because those people will stick by you. They really will.
Awesome. I love that. And definitely, I look forward to seeing you step on stage again and seeing your whole
Yay.
journey on that. It sounds like you're right on the right track for that. You're working hard, you're building that muscle needed in the areas that you want. So we look forward to it and seeing your journey back to the stage. Will you be competing again in the same shows?
I definitely want to compete in the one in Montana. Maybe Spokane too. But I definitely want to look at some natural shows. Because definitely I was up against some people that weren't natural. I think that's the direction I want to go. I know Stephanie has some clients that are doing a show in November. So I'm going to go follow them and watch them. I would have wanted to compete, but I have another bucket list item in September. So it will probably be one that I will not be watching what I'm eating. So I wouldn't be prepared for it. But I think that's the direction. I don't know if I'll do the one in April. I may do the one in June because that's a natural one, but we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
Stephanie and I will figure out what's going to happen on this end from, this point forward. But, I do, and a lot of things that I tell people, look ahead and move forward. Don't look back unless you really want to see how far you've come. And when you look back, that's when you really see what you can accomplish. So keep taking those steps, one step at a time to get to where you want to be, because it will happen if you really want it to happen. You can't dream for it to happen. You have to make it happen.
Awesome. Well, we look forward to it. It was great having you here again. And we'll talk to you here soon.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate your time. I really, really do.
You're welcome. You're welcome. We'll see you later.
Thank
Bye,
you.
guys.